What up, and how you doing? Welcome to PrivilegeStash.ThePodcast by me, your host, DocGreenBody. And I'd like to say thank you for everybody tuning in. Today, we're going to be talking about what are my privilege stash items, what I like. Whether it's an item, whether it's an action, or whether you just felt privileged at the time to be doing whatever you was doing. You know, a privilege stash to me is something that everybody can't really have, everybody can't really do, unless they have some type of connect card or they know some type of plug that can get them in to get that privilege item or into that privileged space. So today, what I'm going to start with is for my privilege items are going to start with my seed collection. My seed collection is one of my most privileged items because it has a plethora of strands in it. It's very deep library. My seed collection consists of everything from indica to sativa to hybrid and some unknown, some landraces. Landraces are like original strands, original sativas, original indicas that usually come from the regions from which the weed or the cannabis actually came from, whether it's the Afghan mountains, whether it's Hawaii, whether it's tropical, whether it's mountainous and snowy. So most of the time you get your indicas from like the mountainous places and your sativas from more like the tropical places. But so I have a plethora of seeds that I love going through, probably that I'll never be able to go through in a lifetime. But they come from all different types of breeders, some that I breeded myself, but some of the main breeders that I really like to tap into that have always been like something out of the seeds, where you get something out of the seeds, is like Tiki. He's one of the famous ones that I like, Tiki. Also, Pheno Addicts, I like to get seeds from them. Old school seeds as well, like Archive seeds, LA Connection seeds, all types of seeds. Other places like, I like Seed Junkie's cool. Seed Junkie, he's all right, you know what I'm saying? That's where I've gotten one of my pride privilege strands from. Before, and that I'm still running to this day, actually. The Pit House Crasher, which is the wedding cake cross to the wedding crasher. I've had that particular pheno for maybe going on 10 years now. And it's beautiful. It has a gas, cakey taste to it, terp. And it comes, what I like to say about it, it comes in different seasonal tastes. Like you may get one thing for the summer, you may get something else for the winter, fall, or spring. It changes due to the environment, whether it's the temperature, whether it's the airflow or anything like that. So Seed Junkie, he's one of my favorite seeds. One of my other privileged strands and seeds that I have is something that I made, which is the Basquiat. And it's a cross between a garlic breath and grape cookies. And I've had that through multiple companies and maybe more than 10 years. And it's just changed. I've changed the name to it. It's mine, so I can do that depending on which company that is with I was with at the time. But in all my strands, I always go wherever I go. So, you know, that's one I've had for a long time. Some other seed breeders that I love, some that I started out with, is Bog, Bushy Old Grower. He was one of the first that I ever started out with, and he's a staple in my seed collection. I still have some of those seeds. Sour Lifesaver, Blue Moon Rocks, Sour Dub, which is something that a lot of people used over and over. Boggle Gum was one of his, he was famous for his bubblegum strands, and that was Bushy Old Grower Bog. Also, Miss Jill and TGA Genetics, say Flame On. She had some of the best genetics in the game as well. Agent Orange, Jelly Bean. Back in the day, I had a cherry, I believe it was a Cherry Garcia, I want to say. That came from but they have some great genetics, and usually what they say it is, it's going to be, you know, you usually can find you a keeper out of their seeds. So they're definitely in my seed collection. Other people, also I like to try other homie seeds as well, you know, that are with growers or to breeders that, you know, I call, that's definitely a privilege because I know the growers, so I can get like seeds direct. When I see something that I might like, or when they say they have something that's going to be fire or something that I should try, I usually pick up some seeds from my homie growers and stuff like that. And my seed collection is just prize. It's a prize collection. It's probably priceless. I was trying to think of a price that I could put on it, but Really, I couldn't, because one seed can make millions. Just look at a couple of companies that you may know or something like that that came up with a genetic or a pheno strand, and they've run it and made millions from one particular pheno. So, having a plethora of seeds, there's really no price that you could put on it, even though everything you pop won't be the one. But for the most part, if you find that one, it can bring you, nice little revenue. And my thing is always too that when I purchase seeds is I just want to get a cutback, really, that can make me the price of the pack. Whatever the price was, whether it's 100, 200, 300, 400 pounds, I should be able to find something in that particular pack from that particular breeder that actually gets my money back. That's why it's really never a problem for purchasing seeds. It shouldn't be a problem if you have a plan to go with those packs. Now, if you're just popping, for personal reasons or for personal growth and things like that, it matters a little bit more. You really want to find a keeper. It's very important to find a keeper when you're just doing it for personal reasons, because more than likely, money that you put out is not going to come back in. So if you're a personal grower, you want to make sure you're getting what you're looking for, because you got that pack for a specific reason, and it's for yourself. Going back to my collection though, I would say I have over 100 packs of seeds. So like I said, I could never get through those in my lifetime, and it's sort of like an addiction or whatever, because I'm still looking for seeds to this day. Looking for different flavors to try, old school, something might pop up in my head and be like, oh, can I find that? Such as something like a purple Urkel or, granddaddy grape, you know what I'm saying? Because I love going back in the time with the phenos and stuff like that, and finding something to bring back to, jog people's memory of what it used to be and what it can be now, because things have changed as far as like growth tactics and things that from what was going on 10, 20 years ago. So, you may be able to unlock some different type of expression today in the cannabis seed than what you were able to do, in the past. So seeds are very important. I try to tell everyone to at least try to grow your own, even if it's just one plant, just so you can see what it takes, how it looks, how it goes, how it drops, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people are very, very, very amazed when it comes from a seed to what you usually put in your blunt or whatever to roll up. So, you know what I'm saying? My seed collection is very privileged to me and to those around me, because I like to give seeds out too as well for people that want to try to grow, stuff like that. So if you ever want to get with me, make sure you follow my page, DocGreenBody. That's DocGreenBody on IG. And, just tap in with me if you want to let's discuss seeds and genetics. I love discussing genetics and phenos and stuff like that, especially old school ones. And yeah, if you ever want to talk about those, you can hit me up and we could do that. Another thing that's very privileged to me that I'm gonna have to pull out early because I need this now is from my homeboy, Greenleaf. These are dope. These are little containers where you can keep your joints, your blunts, your papers, stuff like that. They're waterproof. I love them. It's a little container. Keep your blunt in there. You know what I'm saying? Or your joint, which I'm going to take this one right now. I'm going to that. Green leaf containers. Make sure you tap in with them. You know what I'm saying? It's my homie Leaf Boutique. I'm saying, dope. They got the big one so you can keep the file in as well. Make sure y'all check them out. You know what I'm saying? That's my guy. My bro. My fan. So, yeah, that's one of my privileged products, because I have maybe 4 or 5 of those around the crib. When we did events, usually I would do pre-rolls, get with my bro. You would have the tube, giving them away by the tens. I wouldn't say the hundreds, you know what I'm saying, to make it sound good, but we was giving them away by the tens, is where they come with an actual joint and the tube. So it's a lot of people out there that should have some. They should tap in with my guy, and they keep everything fresh. You know what I'm saying? Sealed. Make sure you don't get wet. And as you can see, you can pull them out anytime and be ready to go. Me, myself, I like to pre-roll for events, so I don't have to, you know what I'm saying, have to find a spot to wipe off, clean, and get all that stuff done. So I like to pre-roll before events, and my tube's perfect for that, you know what I'm saying? Ain't no telling. It holds about, for me, it'll hold about 4 blunts, you know what I'm saying, but I'm not a 3-5 blunt roller because my cannabis doesn't need 3. That's way too much to be putting in a blunt, which is that's something else that we could talk about later. I guess you could call that a privilege. If you're rolling 3-5 blunts, that's a privilege. Everybody can't be doing that. But if you got good cannabis, you don't need to do that. But as I was saying, you can hold about 4 blunts in these, I would say 3-5 woods. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you tap in with my man Leaf Boutique to get you a nice container. So privilege items, things that I like, actions that I like, stuff like that. Another privilege thing that I like, you know what I'm saying, is, my privilege smoke. My privilege smoke. I love privilege smoke. Privilege smoke to me is like things that I grow specifically for me and my peoples. They usually won't ever touch the menu. And actually that's what started Privilege Stash, because I would send people some menus. They'll be like, cool, they'll figure out what they need or whatever. And then when I pull up, or when they pull up on me, they're like, well, what you smoking? Because what I like is not always what someone else makes. So, I do stuff specifically for me, and then I had that on the side. Now, I do love the things that it wouldn't even be on the menu if I didn't smoke it. So I do smoke the things on my menu, but mostly since I'm a grower, I have my own Privilege Stash. Where we at, Privilege Stash. That's where that came from, Privilege Stash. And it came from you guys, you know what I'm saying? It came from you. You guys helped me, you know what I'm saying, come up with that name. It was inspiration from everyone asking me what was I smoking on. And after a while, I seen it as it must be a privilege, because people would be like, man, let me get some of that. Let me get some of that. It ain't on the menu. Definitely comes with a different price, because usually that is something I don't want to let go anyway. If I did it for myself, I'm not even really wanting it to be on a menu or anyone's menu. So, it's my Privilege Stash. Now, you can have Privilege Stash too, but it will come at a price, you know what I'm saying? Which is different from, say, the Privilege Stash that comes in the actual jars, the company, Privilege Stash, which might need to be explained a little bit. Privilege Stash, which is the company, all the strands that come in Privilege Stash are my strands that haven't been, haven't been necessarily, they're menu strands, let's put it like that. They're menu strands. So I made up a company called Privilege Stash, because even though they're menu strands, they're still top-notch product. You know what I'm saying? It's a privilege to have it. If it comes from me, it's a privilege. So I have those that come in the Privilege Stash jars, which is the actual company that we're trying to promote, and the company that's out, for the customer. Then I also have, which is for the customer, strands that I've had before Privilege Stash in, like I said, 10, maybe 15 years. The Penthouse Crasher, the Basquiat, and the Uranus. Those all come in their own specific jars, and they're like special ones to me, and they will always be in my stable. So the ones that come in the Privilege Stash, their flavor, their phenols, that may come and go. I may choose to keep some of them, so you may see some of them again. But most of the time, those are ones that I've went through and tested or are testing and stuff like that. So that's Privilege Stash. And then you could get one of the 3, you know what I'm saying, tops, let's just say, because they're my tops. So that's like my Privilege Stash that I put into its own brand. And that's Penthouse Crasher, Uranus, and Basquiat. And if you hadn't had the privilege, make sure you do, because those are the ones. If you're from the Southeast, you know what I'm saying, those are one of the ones that you want to definitely try and, put on your bucket list to say that I got those from DocGreenBody, you know what I'm saying? And at least you had the chance to just try them out and see, which ones you like. So privilege smoke, it's a very big thing. That's what we're basically based upon, is privilege smoke, this particular podcast. That's what started it. And other privilege smoke, of course, is like I get privilege smoke from my homie growers. My homies that grow, I only mess with them. And so I definitely consider their wares a privilege because we sit down and we'll test out things that no one else gets to try. And, they really have green thumbs like myself. So, that's really a privilege for me to, like, my homeboys and my brothers, and the grower, get a chance to try what they've done is like a privilege for me because I feel elated when I get to try. I'm trying something new. I love to try new things. You know what I'm saying? I get maybe suggest if it should be on the menu, if not, if I need a cut, if not, so that type of thing. So just and in the future, I will have a couple of my grow homeboys come on, the show and just tell y'all what some of their privileges are when it comes to the cannabis industry. Stay and smoke. So like privilege smoke. Also like when I'm a boss's boss type of guy. Not saying that I don't like to deal with other people, but you can get things done when you deal with the bosses. So when I meet like people to mingle with those people because you get to try their stuff. You get to try things that they think about bringing to the market or things that they think are just for them. You know what I'm saying? And that's a privilege to get to know those people. And it's like we're all pioneers in this industry still to this day. If you're a person of color and you're a grower, what I'm saying? Big up to all of you. It's nothing but much love. I like to kick it and talk and smoke and even, what I'm saying, do some collabs with most of you guys because you inspire me to do what I do. You inspire me to step up my game. You know what I'm saying? You inspire me to better my product and think of new and ways to actually push the industry forward. So I big up all and salute all you guys out there that's growing of color, you know what I'm saying? And, trying to do your thing in this industry because, we barely scratched the surface when it comes to the cannabis industry. A lot of people like to say that it's been ran through, that it's, ran its course, this, that, and the third. And to me, I would say to that, I think you've ran your course because how could something have run its course when it's not even been to the top of where it could go? We're not even in every state yet. So, that's still a big stepping stone. It's places out here that are still not even legal or thinking about being legal or until, the politicians change wherever they are. So that's it's a privilege still today to even grow, period, in certain places and to smoke in certain places. So, I like to big up all you guys, anybody trying to do their thing, anybody trying to push the industry forward in the best way possible, and being in the industry, used to be an industry where everybody, used to care about each other, and it was nothing but big ups to everybody who did it because most of us were outlaws. But with legalization, sometimes people get a little big head because they're able to do something freely and, with no care, no worries when there's still people out there that, they're in their grow watching their back at the same time, or just being, cautious to everything they have to do. You know what I'm saying? You can't just go to any grow store. You can't just talk to anybody about what you're doing. So, that's a privilege in itself to be in a place where it's legal, but then to catch the big head because you have a privilege has never been a good thing. So that's not a privilege, not a privilege at all. So I don't think anybody should downplay, what someone else is doing when you never know their situation. A lot of people like to downplay, tent growers when, hey man, they doing their thing. Their weed can sometimes even be better than yours because you're in a big, massive facility and you can't give it that small batch care that you need to give it. Matter of fact, speaking of small batch, y'all make sure y'all go check out episode 2. It's episode 3 right here, My Privileges. But so it don't, to me, if you got a pot, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, but you're trying to do what I'm trying to do, I salute you. I salute you. And and I hope that you can only get better in what you do. And it's forever a learning curve, which I consider that a privilege because knowledge is power. So when it comes to the plant, I'm always learning. And that's a privilege to be able to always learn. It's something that you love to do. So, it's privilege smoke. It's privilege smoke, you know what I'm saying? And it's a privilege to smoke in some places, period. So when you start there, the privilege of just being in cannabis, the spectrum broadens. You know, it winds to what may be your privilege, what may be my privilege, because it's privilege. It's not privileges to the black market. That's not privileges to the people in the legal market. And you say, what? Them fucking taxes. That's what, right? That's a privilege to the black market, that they don't have to deal with all those fucking taxes that they try to lay on the legal market. Speaking of the legal market, it's a privilege to have a social equity bill in whichever legal market you happen to be in. And I think that should be mandatory when any place or any state or is even deciding to go legal, no matter where it is. I think there should be a social equity bill for the minority in that particular place. That's just, I think that should be mandatory when it comes to legalization. But that's a privilege, you know. Both have their privileges when it comes to privilege smoke in each market. You know what I'm saying? And privilege smoke is like something like, I would call sativas a privilege smoke, because they have to go like 10, 11, 12 weeks sometimes. And to be able to take something from 1 week to 12 weeks, when it's usually like an 8-9 week cycle, and a lot of people don't think those 2 weeks make a difference, but it's a lot of time, and it can curtail your whole grow meter timing, whatever you want to call it, because you're adding on 2 weeks, and you have to, those extra 2 weeks take extra 2 week knowledge. Like, it's knowledge after 8 or 9 weeks that you don't per se need to use, that you will need to use when it comes to a 9 to 13 week growth. The plant acts very differently. It needs different things at in those particular 2 to 3 weeks that your other plants, you know what I'm saying, they were depleting at, say, a week 6 or something like that. So when it comes to privilege smoke, it's all of that. Make sure y'all, you know what I'm saying, hit me up, y'all tap in, y'all like, share, and comment what's privilege to y'all, you know, and let me know. So I might get y'all on the show, you know what I'm saying, so we can actually discuss it. Other than that, you know what I'm saying, I like to talk about privilege items, which I've already talked about. One of the privilege items I was going to talk about, which is the green leaf tubes. Let's bring that back in. These tubes are wonderful. I love my tube. Anytime you see me, if I'm coming out the pocket, you're going to see the tube first. Keep the flower tube as well. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all type in with my man, Green Leaf. And they're very sustainable, and they're made out of bamboo, which I love as well. You know what I'm saying? To just keep it in the whole, you know what I'm saying, organic sustainability of all the things, you know, privilege, you know what I'm saying? Definitely a privilege item. Also, a privilege item that I want to talk about, which some of you may have, the power hitter. Very privileged item. This item right here, it popped up at the pop-ups when I started bringing them out during COVID, times of COVID. And it's perfect, because what you would do, you screw it off, whatever you have, whether it's your blunt or your joint or anything like that, you ain't gonna put no whoop goddamn hash hole in there, man. But you in there like this, you put your blunt in, bow. Put this on, light the motherfucker first. Light that motherfucker, put this on there, boom. Next thing you know, you screw it on, you have your carburetor on the side, y'all hear that? You get to blow the smoke. You know what I'm saying? It's power here. You catch me with them at all the pop-ups, you know what I'm saying? I'm always giving out joints and stuff like that. That's why, if you know Doc, it's a privilege, because I'm always passing out joints and passing out smoke, and a lot of people was like, yeah, what the fuck is that? You know what I'm saying? Boom, it's Doc's power hitter. You know what I mean? Talking to the company to put together a collab so we can go ahead and have those. I'll have these. I'll put a link as well in the description, so y'all can go grab you one. I'll put the link in the description for this and the Leaf Boutique Green Leaf tubes. This right here, that Doc's power hitter. A1 since day one. Walk in any event, you finna turn it up, you know what I'm saying? So you'll be able to get those from me. You can order yours from me or get the Docs, or, you know what I'm saying? I'll put the link in the description for you so you can grab you one. Also, think a privilege item, because, you know, I like as a go-to. I like the go-to papers for me. Boom, element papers. Nice, smooth, it burn, always even. You see how I sat it down and I was able to, you know what I'm saying, get back with that thing, still have it going, and we good to go, you know what I mean? Speaking of, this was a privileged joint because I had my guys. It's going other than the element paper. So y'all check out the element papers. The element papers were nice. You know what I'm saying? The element papers are real nice. My other privileged item that I keep on me. And most of the time, unless I'm smoking with other people, I'm always rolling it. Shout out. This particular one has been curing for, say, maybe a month now. I'll probably let it cure a little bit more. But like I said, shout out to Frenchie, Temple Hash Balls, Privilege Smoke always. That's like the purest of cannabis form that you can really partake in, that's clean, unadulterated. You still get terpenes sometimes when you have the correct pheno that you've done your hash from. It's ice cold water extracted, whether it's from let's say fresh frozen, which means you